Hello colleagues, this is Valentina, founder of Face Bliss Academy. Today we are working with the eye area. Puffiness, heavy upper eyelids, drooping outer corner, dark circles. These are the concerns clients bring most often. But here is what's important to know. You can't just massage the eyes. If you don't open the drainage pathways first, you are just moving fluid in circles. There is a result, but it doesn't last. Today I'm showing the correct sequence from the neck to the peri-orbital zone. I'm applying our Face Bliss oil. It creates a delicate glide that's especially important in the eye area. Let's go. I start with general lymphatic drainage, gently opening the main pathways so that all the fluid will be directed from the eye area, can actually move downward instead of shifting from place to place. Then I move down to the neck and carefully release the sternocleidomastoid muscle right here on the sides. It's often overworked and the main drainage corridor passes through it. If this muscle is tight, fluid simply doesn't leave the face. After that, I begin soft drainage, smooth downward movements along the lateral lines. We are creating space so that later we can work precisely on the peri-orbital area. Now I move to the area around the ears, the anterior and posterior auricular lymph nodes. These are important points that receive lymph from the eyes and cheekbones. I gently activate them with small circular movements. And the same from other side. Then I begin soft drainage. Here is submandibular lymph nodes. They act as the main funnel where all the fluid from above collects. Light, soft compressions help fully open these pathways. So I applied thin light layer of oil, just enough to ensure comfortable glide. Then I work under the cheekbones. This area collect important lymphatic collectors. I gently press along this line to prepare a pathway for a fluid to drain from the under eye area. And before moving directly to the eyes, I always soften the temples and the forehead. The temporal muscle affects the lateral corner of the eye, while the forehead and the glabellar area influence how open the upper eyelid appears. When these zones relax, the gaze naturally becomes lighter and fresher. I also give attention to the aponeurosis, gently moving across the scalp, shifting the tissue slightly, and sometimes even lifting the hair a little upward. It's not about force, it's about creating a sensation of a wave motion through the entire head. Why does this work? Because the aponeurosis is a unified facial cap connected to the forehead and temples and the auricularis oculi muscle, this one. When it becomes over tightened, it literally pulls everything downward. The upper eyelid feels heavier, the outer corner drops, and the tissues around the eyes lose mobility. But when we gently soften it, the overall tension releases and the orbicularis oculi relaxes much faster. That's why light work on the scalp, even small gentle lifts of the hair, it's a great way to further open the eyes and free the entire peri-orbital area. By the way, at our free masterclass, we cover much more than just the eye zone. We go deeper, sculptural massage of the lower third, platysma mentalis, depressors, and the orbicularis oris, lymphatic drainage of the mid-face, work along the nose, grab and roll technique, and the helmet technique, and buccal massage for the nasolabial folds, um, levator labii superioris, zygomatic muscle, mediolus, from the inside, where you simply can't reach from outside. All on this, all of this in one live session with practice on models. Just write class in the comments. My team will send you the link for the free masterclass, and as a gift, you will receive a lesson on the eye zone right away. Only now can we safely and effectively work around the eyes. And the first thing we do is release the lower and upper eyelids. We always begin with the lower eyelid, and here is important to create soft, controlled traction. I place my fingers near the bridge of the nose along the lower eyelid and gently guide the skin toward the temple. This traction shouldn't be strong, it should be steady, giving the tissues a clear direction. I hold it for a few seconds, allowing the muscles to gradually let go. Then I bring in the other hand and glide outward along this traction as if lengthening the muscles along its natural line. The movement is slow, smooth, and superficial with no deep pressure. I repeat this several times so the lower eyelid becomes more mobile and soft. After the lower eyelid, we move to the upper in exactly the same way. First, we create light traction from the inner corner toward the temples, again gently fixing the tissues and giving it direction. Then, with the other hand, we glide along the structure, lengthening the upper eyelid along its natural path. This work is very delicate. We are not just stretching the skin, we are simply restoring mobility and physiological glide to the eyelids. The next exercise is what I call the drop. Here we gently stretch and relax the upper portion of the orbicularis oculi, the area where it blends into the forehead muscle. This spot is extremely important because this is where tension most often accumulates, making the gaze heavier and closing the upper eyelid. I begin the movement from the center of the lower eyelid, move along the circular path as if I'm gently hugging the muscles, and bring my fingers upward, lengthening the upper part of the orbicularis toward the forehead. The movement shouldn't be very smooth and continuous. It should be very smooth and continuous. Important, try not to open the client's eyes. We work only with the skin and the surface of muscle with no unnecessary stretching. Look at how the gaze is already opening up, and this is just the lymphatic block. At the masterclass, in addition to eyes massage, we also cover sculptural work of the lower third of the face, including the platysma, the depressor, um, and the auricularis oris, as well as buccal massage techniques for the nasolabial folds. The client sees the result immediately. That's exactly what makes a treatment one client come back for. Just write class in comments. My team will send you the link for the free masterclass. Next, we move to an exercise that helps mobilize both the inner and outer corner of the eye. We will start with the inner corner because this is where the small bluish dot, microbruis, most often appears. It shows up on the lower eyelid closer to the bridge of the nose. This happens not because the skin is thin, but because many muscles and facial fibers intersect here. Which structures intersect in this point? The eye closing muscle, the muscle that lifts upper lip and nose, the muscle that pulls the inner brow down, the muscle that creates a frown line, the connective tissues that hold the inner eye corner in place. So this is a very small but heavy loaded node, which is why tension, spasm, and stagnation so often accumulate here. Our task is to gently release this point. I place both thumbs at the inner corner, one of the upper eyelid, the other on the lower. The fingers should be secure but not painful. From this position, I make tiny lengthening movements as if I'm slightly separating the tissues in different directions. We are not stretching the skin, we are softening the node itself. The movements are short, controlled, directed inward and slightly outward. Now it's time to release the outer corner of the eye, the area where the orbicularis oculi blends into the temporal muscle. This spot is very important because this is where the soft little fold forms, the one that many people called crow's feet. I gently take this soft fold between my fingers, not the skin, but the actual muscle bundle, and begin working with it. We can stretch it in different directions with small, soft shifts, giving the tissues more mobility. Or we can use a light rolling technique when the fingers gently pass the fold from one to the other. The movement is very delicate, yet incredibly effective. We relax the connection between the orbicularis oculi and temporal muscle, the area that often pulls the outer corner of the eyes downward and creates the look of tired gaze. When we soften this spot, everything relaxes at once, both the eye muscles and the temporal muscles. The tissues become lighter, more mobile, and the outer corner of the eyes opens softly and naturally. And now we gently bring our practice to a close. After working through the entire eye area, we make one more pass with light smoothing strokes from the center of the face outward and downward toward the lymph nodes. We use the flat surface of the palms very gently, as if we are softly ironing the tissues. This helps guide all the limbs we've released from the muscle downward. It's the final touch that anchors the result, and with that, our practice is complete. The eye zone responds quickly. When you know the system, the gaze opens up, the heaviness disappears, the client sees the difference right there on the treatment table. No injections, no aggressive techniques, but this is just the zone from a large system. In our free masterclass, I show a full treatment sculptural massage of the lower third with work on the platysma, mentalis, the depressors, lymphatic drainage of the mid-face with the grab and roll and helmet techniques, and buccal massage for the nasolabial folds, levator labii superioris, zygomatic muscles, and mediolus from the inside. Live practice on 3 models with different facial structures, anatomy breakdown, the full combo system, sculptural, lymphatic, and buccal massage, plus the benefits of gua sha, cupping, and taping, addressing up to 90% of client concerns. After the masterclass, you receive a full recording of all practical demonstrations and a presentation with all protocols. Just write class in the comments. My team will send you the link to the free masterclass. As a gift, you will receive a lesson on the eye zone. Bye bye, guys.